What's up, everybody? My name is Scott Waters. Welcome to yet another edition of What's Spinning from My Car. Showing you some of the CDs that I've been spinning over the last few weeks as I'm driving around, going to work, you know, heading to the gym, whatever it is that I'm doing. I'm going to get right into this one because I have a lot to show and not a whole lot of time to show it. This is Fear Not, an album from the early 90s. Let's see here, 1993. Produced by John and Dino Elefante, who of course were part of part of Kansas at one time.
Just give your heart a chance, life is what you make it. Give it up, you can run away.
Kind of has that kind of a heavy sound, you know, grinding guitars, you know, pounding bass drums, big drum sounds, but the big hooky choruses, kind of like the first couple Skid Row albums, you know, kind of in that range of stuff. It was actually their first album under the name Fear Not, although it had released an album before this under the name Love Life. I guess for whatever reason the label didn't like the band name, and I can understand, Love Life's kind of a weird name. But anyhow, regardless, this is their first album under Fear Not. Unfortunately, only ever released on CD, but there are rumors that it will be being released on vinyl this year, so I'm kind of looking forward to that, which is the reason that I pulled it out and started spinning it. Okay, next up, Tank, some heavy metal from the new wave of British heavy metal, the early years. This would have been recorded in 1981, live in Germany. Tank are, of course, just kind of simplistic, straightforward, hard rock metal mixed together. Not unlike, you know, like Motorhead or Warfare, even like not Venom. Yeah, Venom a little bit. Kind of that just Venom, but better musicians. Maybe like, that's a good way to describe it. Not quite as extreme as Venom, especially lyrically, but just a great band. I mean, they're pretty well known, so if you don't know who Tank is and you're into the new wave of British heavy metal at all, this is a band worth investing in. This is actually a live album that also features some demos from the early 80s as well. And this was re-released, I believe, this was a re-release on, let's see here, Soundhouse Records. Has some 1999 demos on here, so somewhere late in the 90s. I don't see a release year on here anywhere. This has also been released by several other companies on vinyl and on CD, so it's got several different covers. Great album. Check it out if you're into the new wave of British heavy metal. Tank, live and rare. This one's kind of, well, it's kind of lame because I don't have a CD cover for it, but here's this is the new Striker. And this is actually the download card, which I've already downloaded, so sorry you can't take the number. You can try. But I burned a CD of it, and I've been spinning this one in my car over and over again. I bought it on vinyl, and it came with the download card. Again, just great heavy metal. Not unlike what you're hearing in the background. It's got that heavy metal, maybe a little more metal, a little less commercial than what you're hearing back there, but they got the hooks. They got the songwriting down. I just love Striker. Their last few albums have just been phenomenal. And these are one of the new wave of traditional heavy metal bands that should be, I mean, they really should be much bigger than they are. But they are beginning to make waves, especially, you know, with all the younger metal fans catching on to this style of metal. So, great band, Striker. And this is actually their self-titled new release from 2017. Almost said 1987. All right, next up, another old school band. This is from Belgium. Not part of the new wave of British heavy metal, but obviously part of that scene worldwide that was happening in the early 80s. Again, their sound not unlike Tank, Warfare, or Motorhead, or Venom. Just very, but the difference being that they have a female vocalist, but she is not weak whatsoever. If there was a weak spot in this band at all, some of the lyrics are a bit corny, cheesy, whatever you want to call it, but you know what? It's metal. It's not supposed to be always serious. And it doesn't always have to be, you know, I don't know, thought-provoking. In this case, you know, you got songs like Hooked on Metal, Acid, Hell on Wheels, Heavens, Devils. You know, it's just, it's, you know, pretty basic for what you were getting back in the 80s. but it's very, very good. I really like Acid. Matter of fact, just recently picked up one of the vinyl reissues of this album as well, which is actually the reason I pulled this off the shelves and started spinning it again. Went to check out my review on No Life Till Metal and realized I didn't put it up yet, so I'm working on getting that rewritten since I don't know what happened to the one I wrote originally. So, Acid, Belgian band, I think it's early 80s, like 81. I'm not sure if there's a year release on this or not, but 82. So I was pretty close. 82, 83, somewhere in that area. Alright, skipping forward a decade. This is maybe 2 decades. Let's see if there's a year on the back of this one. 2000. This is Italian prog band Labyrinth, Sons of Thunder. Some would call them, you know, power metal, Euro power metal, whatever you want to call them. Very heavy stuff, very technical, musically proficient, killer vocals. This is a Metal Blade release, so I'm pretty sure if yeah, you know what? If I play this, I'm gonna get a copyright ding, because most Metal Blade stuff does, but nah, we'll skip it. Van Halen on the radio. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just stick it in there. We'll just leave it in there for a few minutes and check it out. If I get a copyright ding, I get a copyright ding. What are you gonna do, right?
Find her, for she is the true meaning of life.
The true meaning of life. Alright, always the intros. Anyhow, I'll just leave that kind of playing low in the background. Next up, a new release on Retroactive Records. I love Seventh Angel. They have 3 studio albums out. I believe their first one came out in '89, maybe 1990. The Torment, and then No Rest for the Weary came out after that, or Lament for the Weary came out after that. Both killer albums. And then there was a big, like 15-20 year break before their next one. But what this here offers is all their demos, the early demos before, when they were very unrefined and didn't quite find their groove, all the way into the demos they were doing for those 2 first albums, and the demos they did for Dust of Years. This is, like I said, brand new release on Bombworks Records. Did I say Retroactive earlier? Bombworks, Retroactive. They're all under the banner of Brutal Planet Productions, I believe. But yeah, sound quality is very good. So these demos have been cleaned up by the band themselves, and it's almost, if you're a fan of Seventh Angel, it's really cool hearing how this band's progressed over the years, because in a very short amount of time they went from doing songs like let's see here, like in the Red demo, the very first demo, there's a song in here called "In the Name of Christ We Rock." you know, and it's very Striper-ish, early '80s, kind of goofy. But they also recorded a song called "Heed the Warning" on that same demo, which ended up being recorded again later, and that's a great song. I love "Heed the Warning," but here it's more unrefined, more I wouldn't say amateurish, but just more unrefined. You know, the band hadn't quite gelled, they haven't quite got that chemistry together yet. But then by the next demo, the rehearsal demo, which is, I believe, at least maybe in the same year, they came up with Dr. Hatchet, Betrayer, Locked Up in Chains, and Divine Takeover. Again, the sound was starting to fill out. They were starting to get their groove, you know. And then by the next demo, the Heed the Warning demo, man, they were just fantastic. I love the Heed the Warning demo. I actually like some of those songs as much as, if not better than, the songs that ended up on the Torment. Unfortunately, the song Seven Angels Part 1 and 2 did not make it on that album. That's one of my all-time favorite songs by Seventh Angel. So it's available on this. And then there's 2 songs, Lamentations and The Turning Tide, from the later years. Just a great album. You can see the track listing here. Hopefully not too much glare. Thrash metal, for the most part. You know, it's kind of an odd mixture. Especially early on, they were kind of more metal. Then they went thrash, and then they kind of mixed in some doom parts here and there. And of course, Ian Arkley, who was one of the main characters in this band, has been in several different thrash bands. I'm screaming. Several different. Man, I cannot speak. Rewind. Several different doom bands over the years, including My Silent Wake, who I also love. So, yeah, this is released just this year. So, Seventh Angel Demo Collection. Sorry, I rattled on about that one probably for a bit too long. Won't say much about this one. I did pick this one up. This is a brand new release from Annihilator, 2017 release. This is a live double CD. Don't know if it's available on vinyl. Didn't see it on vinyl anywhere. But you've got Live at the Bang Your Head Festival on disc 1, and then the Water Sound Studio Sessions, which is basically Jeff Waters' studio, I believe. And it's an unplugged session. I don't know. I haven't really spun much of the unplugged sessions. Not that it's bad. It's just when I want to hear Annihilator, I want to hear Annihilator. The whole unplugged thing, just, you know, I like some of it. I like the Kiss Unplugged, but it's just not what I wanted to hear and when I wanted to hear, you know, Annihilator. But eventually I'll give that album a proper spin when I'm in the right mood for something acoustic. But anyhow, great sound, great quality. I believe Jeff Waters was the vocalist on this album, on this live album. So if you're an Annihilator like I am, I'm kind of an Annihilator fanatic. I'll buy anything they put out, just about. That's one worth to pick up. This next one, I can't remember for the life of me what country these guys are from, but this old school thrash metal, but they are a new wave of thrash metal band. I believe this was their, I don't know if it was their first or not now. You know, I cannot remember. But I've been spinning this one over and over again. Not quite as manic, and you know, a lot of bands have been copying like the whole Teutonic sound or early Slayer, that kind of real harsh, aggressive sound. These guys are a little more mid-paced, a little more refined, and I really like this album from Ranger. I'll have to look into getting more from them. So Ranger, I'm gonna pop this out and pop in some Ranger instead here. This release is on Spine Farm Records. This one was is completely autographed, which is very, very cool. Very glad to have it. That's what I call an intro. There you go. The Evil Dwells by Ranger. Next up, this is one I showed that was sent to me. I forgot the channel name. I forget stuff. I'll have to put it below. I'll look it up and put it below. But anyhow, it came all the way from Norway. This is a Thin Lizzy tribute band called Bad Habits, and they do obviously all Thin Lizzy songs on here. You know, I wasn't sure whether I would like this or not, because I mean, it's Thin Lizzy, one of my favorite bands. Why would I want to hear a tribute band doing it? But they do a great job. I was actually playing this one at work, and one of the guys who was at work was listening to it as well. And he's like, he thought it was a newer Thin Lizzy. He thought it was, you know, the guys who are touring around as Thin Lizzy now doing their songs. I'm like, no, this is actually a cover band. But it's very well done. They do put some of their own spins to the song, but they pretty much stick to the originals, and I quite enjoyed it. So anyhow, I did have a couple people ask me about this when I showed it last time. Was it any good? Is it worth picking up? If you're a Thin Lizzy fanatic like I am, yes, it's worth picking up. It's very well done, very enjoyable. Apparently these guys toured around Norway and other countries and were very popular, pulling in large crowds, and why not? If you're that good at what you do, I'd go to see them. I love Thin Lizzy, so why not go listen to somebody perform it live, even if it's not the original band. Shoot, I went to see Thin Lizzy play, and you know, it wasn't Thin Lizzy. I mean, it was Scott Gorham, I think, was the only original member, or no, he was not even an original member in the band when I went to see him, and they did the whole Thin Lizzy set, and it was fantastic. I loved it. Keeping that music alive, even if it's not, you know, the original band and Phil Lynott. So, okay, next up, a new album or new release from Circle of Dust. Now this one is very out of my wheelhouse now. I don't listen to a whole lot of industrial, haven't for years. I liked a lot of industrial metal during the 90s. I was really into Circle of Dust and Argyle Park and gosh, I can't even remember all the different bands. There's so many of them back then. I can't even think of all of them. But this is their fourth album. Their third album, they kind of got away from the industrial and went more into a goth style, and I just didn't dig it at all. I kind of dig this album a lot, and I've been spinning it quite a bit. It is industrial metal, so it's got the riffs and stuff like that, but it also has all those weird sounds and computer effects and all that kind of stuff. I don't know, a little different for me, but I do enjoy this record. Scott Albert being the main guy here, or whatever name he's going by these days. He goes by the name Clayton now. Just Clayton, that's his whole name. Pretty sure that's Clayton pictured on the back there.
Well, I see my fame has reached the stars.
But let me give you a bit of advice. Here among the stars, it is better not to be quite so cocky.
Little thrash riffing going on there. Of course, electronic drums. So anyhow, that's Circle of Dust, Machines of Our Disgrace, 2017, or was it the end of 16? Might have been the end of 2016 this one came out. I don't see the year release on here anywhere. I'm pretty sure it was at the end of 2016 this came out. I enjoy it. It's a little bit different than the stuff I usually listen to, but hey, there's all kinds of stuff out there I like that's not metal, so. Last few, I'm going to go through these quickly because I know this is running long. Picked up the new Creator, Gods of Violence on CD. Really wanted to get this one on vinyl, just didn't have the cash for it, so I went for the much cheaper CD version. But it sounds great. Really been spinning this one a lot. And this one actually got me into a mood where I started listening to all the different Creator albums. I just started pulling out ones that I hadn't heard in a while. So I pulled out Endorama, which seems to be one that most people seem to hate. I think it's great. This is a great album. It's not the raw, aggressive, proto-death metal that they were doing early on. That was just, noisy and chaotic. It was more refined, a little more melodic, but it's still Creator. It still sounded great, and I really enjoy this record. Well, CD. I don't have this on vinyl. I wish. And then another one that I pulled out was the Out of the Dark Into the Light EP. Is that what it was called? Out of the Dark Into the Light. Yep. EP from this one was from the 80s. It features Impossible to Cure, Lambs to the Slaughter, which is an awesome Raven cover. And then a bunch of live songs. Terrible Certainty, Rod of Violence, which is a great song. Awakening of the Gods, Flag of Hate. This is just some of their classics. Love Us or Hate Us, and Behind the Mirror. So, some Creators. So yeah, I'm actually listening more than just those three albums. Got into a big old Creator kick and just started playing all their stuff. So. Anyhow, Last one for this video, and I'm sorry this one's so long. Like I told you, I had a lot to show. This is a local band from the 90s that did get some notoriety worldwide, but this is the first full-length album from Seventh Sign. This is Perpetual Destiny, and these guys are just fantastic. I just wish they would have, you know, gained more notoriety, gotten some popularity. Kind of, their sound to me, it's like progressive Fates Warning meets the commercial edge of Dokken. And I always love the vocals of Greg Anaya. If you were a fan of the Bruce Dickinson solo albums that Roy Z produced, or the Halford albums that Roy Z produced, or Roy Z's band Tribe of Gypsies, you might recognize the name Greg Anaya because he actually sang backup vocals on the Halford and Dickinson albums, and he was the lead vocalist for Roy Z's Tribe of Gypsies. Anyhow, this album is on distributed by SPV on Inside Out Records. They also released an independent version here. I decided to go for the hit my windshield wipers. I decided to go for the import version because it's got an extra song that wasn't on the local one. So that's why you see 2.0 on here. That was the difference, version 2.0. I had both of them for a while, but traded it off for something that I wanted more. Didn't really need two versions of it, so. My favorite song on here, it's more of a mellower song, but let's see here if I can find it on here.
Are you dreaming tonight?
This is it. I don't know, it's just got a vibe to it, a flair, there's just something about the song I love. It's almost like it's called Beholder, and it's almost like a look up at God kind of song, and just in bewilderment and beholding of all that he created. And I'm not saying that's what the song is about, but that's kind of what it comes across to as me. I really don't know what the original song was written, what the motivation behind it was, but that's it for this edition of What's Spinning. It was a long one. Apologize for that, but I hope you enjoyed it anyhow. Maybe you discovered something new. You know, I love talking movies with you guys, so I appreciate all the comments that you leave. And leave some more. I always answer all of them back. Might take me a little bit of time, but I always get back to all of them. So appreciate you all watching. I'm going to exit out with this song here. God bless. Stay strong.
Behold, see your faces, for your majesty.